Hello again, everybody. This is John Arns with the Business Freedom Formula. Today, we are fortunate enough to have a guest of Amy Hager. Amy, how are you today?
Good, John. How about you?
I'm terrific. Thank you so much. Listen, Amy, I want to start out with asking you the zinger question I alluded to, and that is, are you working on anything exciting at the moment?
When, as business owners, are we not working
Well,
on
that's
something
that's true,
exciting?
but
I love it. To be honest, we actually are doing a new workshop, and how we decided to do this workshop is it's something that we typically lead our clients through. It's usually the first step that we lead our clients through. And we realized if we pull this out into a standalone workshop and help people see a little bit behind the curtain, looking under the hood a little more deeply in their business and with their messaging and how all of that works, we decided to pull this out. So it's called the Predictable Revenue Workshop. Um,
okay,
and it's really about, as a business owner, there's so many stages within your business. And once you get the ball rolling and you have clients, and a lot of those clients are going to be coming from referrals, from your network, from really you showing up and talking about your business in an area where people know you, where people are
right.
friendly.
Mhm.
It's that next step of visibility and using a true marketing strategy that is the harder of the two steps. And so that's where we really focus this workshop on, and really coming up with the right formula to put together a plan for predictable growth and put together that long-term strategy that doesn't just rely on referrals. So it's that next level of visibility once you get your business rolling.
Okay. Now, it's what I find interesting is like nearly every business owner I talk to,
Mhm.
nobody tells me, hey, I've got more clients than I can handle. I've got more business than I can handle. I've got more, my marketing is on point and it's great. And it's just like
Yeah.
nobody does this. Okay.
Right.
Um, your product may be top drawer,
Yeah.
but you're not getting the message out, or you're getting the message out, but your product is a little lacking. And so, one of the things that's always intrigued me is the whole concept of what is good
Mm.
and what is really good marketing. I think that it seems, I mean, I've got an MBA and I've had to take marketing classes, and still it sounds almost like you need an alchemist in the corner putting it together for you, because it just sounds like a strange kind of thing. And I think that's probably where you guys focus, isn't it? Is on doing the marketing correctly, and whether it's through email lists or through personal contacts. And
Right. Yeah, and I think you're pointing out a really good point. Everybody feels that marketing just should be easy. You should be able to make posts on social media and just send an email to an email list and
Mhm.
bam, clients.
Right.
And it really, especially over the years, has gotten a lot more harder because there's more noise. As an attention span, as a human, it's low. And
Hmm.
so utilizing someone to help pull really strong messaging out of you so that in those first 7 seconds, you really
Right.
can make that powerful impact on somebody so that they want to hear more from you. And I think, I took marketing classes in college as well, and I've been doing marketing since I was 9 as a go-kart racer. And I really think the common thing about the psychology of messaging and the psychology of marketing is we have got to make the person that we are talking to feel like we're talking directly to them. But
Right.
you're putting it out into a universe with millions of other people.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so it really is that catch 22 of, if you're not speaking to the heart of one, you're speaking to the heart of no one.
Right.
And doubling down on what is it that can really hook someone into a conversation with you, because it really is a one by one by one relationship that you
Right.
build with your audience as they're reading your content, watching your videos, getting your emails, so that they feel like you're speaking directly to them and not speaking to a large audience of hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah, and I think I would agree with that because you need to do mass, you need to hit masses, but it needs to sound like I'm talking only to you,
Right.
you know,
Right.
and feeling it. And I guess that is probably a lot harder than it looks, you
Yeah.
know. It
It
how
really
you draw
is.
that out and how you what's the right word? I'm missing the word on I want to use the word wordsmithing, but there's another word, that copywriting, getting your
Mhm.
doing your copywriting correctly, getting that message down, which is
Right.
probably a lot harder than most people, if you ever try to do that, it's not easy.
Not easy. It's harder than what, people give it credit to. And I believe you have to start somewhere. So of course, rolling things out on your own and getting something out there first, but really, really honing in. And I think by having experiences, that's how you can improve your messaging. So when you do get those clients based off of word of mouth and referral, when you do
Mhm.
get those clients from your own network, when you do get clients from other clients, making sure that you're in deep communication and deep relationship with them so that you can really hear what they're saying
Mhm.
and utilize that in your own messaging. And a lot of times we just focus on the serving of the client and
Right.
serving them very, very well. And we forget we need to put our listening ears back on and really hear what the
Mhm.
conversations are and how they're expressing what's happening to them.
Yeah. I would when I started doing my own consulting work,
Hmm.
one of the things I wanted with my customers was to build a relationship to the point where I wanted to get invited to their child's wedding. I
Right?
wanted that kind of relationship with somebody where when we got together, it was like we were old friends. I spent almost 16 years doing technical support for software.
Hmm.
And over the years, some of the customers I had, I developed those kinds of relationships. We were friends. When we got together at user group meetings, we'd go hang out, and we wouldn't even talk shop. We would just talk about everything else. It was that kind of thing and I'm kind of a social person. I like that interaction.
Yeah.
And I find it's a lot more authentic. If you're making a suggestion, people listen. If they have
Right.
trouble with something and you don't know, I don't know.
Right.
Let's go find out, or let me find somebody who does know. You're
Exactly.
not trying to sell something you can't do. And I think too many people try to be too many things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you. And you're for too many things. And, people can't say, go to Amy when the words are hard, when you don't know what to say. Then I
Hmm.
haven't done a good enough job of letting people know what I really do. And so I
Right.
think you're really nailing it on the head. And by building that connection relationship, I mean, even in the corporate world, in the government world, I hear this word of isolation and work so much. And I'm
Mhm.
like, you're in a building surrounded by hundreds of people. How can you feel isolated? And so by us showing up for our clients, building those deep relationships,
Mhm.
asking them the questions, and allowing them to share some about them personally so that we can connect on a deeper level, that human to human interaction is what will change how we operate as businesses, how we can raise that vibration of the planet, and how we as heart centered leaders can really make the impact that we want to make. And so I think, John, you're nailing it on the head by you do want to create that close relationship with your clients. You do want to be friendly with your clients. And yes, you can still show up as the expert as you are and show up as a friendly human to
Right.
that other person. It's insane when people tell me, well, at work or with my business, I show up this way, but I'm actually like this. Y'all, it's one life. We aren't two
Right.
people,
Right.
right?
Right.
So live your life in alignment and show up who you are and know that your marketing, your messaging, and you yourself are doing well if you are attracting and repelling at the same time. People should say, yeah, you know what? John or Amy, they're not my cup of tea.
Right.
That is okay. We can
Sure.
let people not feel connected to us because we want them to find that person that they're deeply
Right.
connected to.
Yeah. And also I think this is more true, especially in what you do and what I do, is that you have people who have to want to do this.
Yeah.
whatever it is we do. Me, I work with people who want to grow their business from the point of they need to let go of some of the reins. We need to
Yeah,
build systems to help them do this kind of thing. And yet, if you're not willing to let go of the reins, then I can't work with you. I'm sorry.
exactly.
And I may love you to death, but if you can't do that, I can't. And the same with you. If you're stuck on this bit of marketing and you think this is great, but it's not working, but you
Yeah.
refuse to give it up, you can't do anything for him either.
Well, and the other thing is like I can't actually do your marketing for you. I can't write your copy for you. And I really, really believe as a business owner, when you give your power away to someone else that says they can write your website better for you, that they can do their marketing better for you, I
Mhm.
think you're giving away too much power in your business. And until you get to the point where the messaging is really solid and it's creating that reoccurring instance where people come in after they see or read or hear something, that's
Mhm.
then when that power can be given off and delegated for someone to implement. And so I believe in that co-creation of marketing is so important. The co-creation of messaging is so important. You just saying, Amy, here's my old web copy. Can you fluff it up and make it better? Is never going to work. Clarity comes through that conversation, especially with marketing and messaging. And there's a lot of people who have different beliefs in how marketing and messaging work, and
Mhm.
they're not going to work well with us. And
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah. And that's okay. Yeah. You're right. I mean, it's like there's it's like some of the guys that I've worked with in the past. I said, we all work differently,
Mhm.
but if we all get the same result, ultimately that's what matters. And so you've got business owners that work differently, that want things done a certain way, and others that are more open to doing things in different manners. And I think that's what works for all of us. That's what makes us unique as human beings. So,
Exactly. Every body is different and every business is different.
mhm. Now you made a comment in to me about you're setting up a retreat in Bali in 2027.
Yeah.
What's that about?
Yeah, well, and it's fun. You just caught me. I'm getting back from retreat in Mexico. And, I think again, the thing about retreating, especially as a business owner, is having that space where it's quiet, it's intimate, it's soul nourishing, and you're around others who are craving that in that moment as well.
Hmm.
It's always amazing to see what is co-created from being in that type of space. So in Mexico, we had two couples who are in business, but one is in business together, one is not. They're separate business owners. We had another person who owns a brand agency, and then we had another person who actually works for Big Pharma.
Hmm.
And you would think getting those six people together, there's not a lot in common. But by the first day, we found the commonalities. They all are desiring similar things. And when they got out of the day to day of their business and got out of the day to day of the work and grind, it was really, really interesting what came super clear on what they should be doing, what they should be
Hmm.
stopping, and how to go forward. And I think that another piece of this is also, you know, doing things together. So we were at a culinary location in Mexico. So we did two cooking classes together. We all learned different skills in the kitchen that maybe we didn't know before, or we enhanced our knife cutting
Right.
skills.
There you go.
um,
Yeah,
right?
that's always scary, isn't it?
Yeah, and so it was really interesting to focus on something that wasn't your business, but co-creating something together and then
Sure.
enjoying that great meal together. And so when we're in Bali, it's still very much so a similar aspect where there's, you know, a couple of mine and my business partners' lifestyle values are really great food, building a great community and travel. And so Bali and Mexico do that for us. And so we want to make sure that we're filling our bodies with nourishing food and really delicious things that we enjoy eating and getting out and exploring nature. And that's what I'm super excited about Bali is we have a lot of going out and touring different parts of the area that we're in. There's a temple tour. There's an excursion to go interact with some wildlife. There's yoga and wellness activities, and I love that how we've curated these retreats is yes, there's a menu item of like 10 things for you to pick and do. You don't have to do all 10 though. And
Right,
in Mexico, we had one lady who really didn't care to walk into town. She did it the first day. She was like, meh, I'm good. I don't need to go back to the market to go shopping for the second day. She stayed back and read a book by the pool. And
right,
so, again, you get choice. And I think that's the other thing as a business owner is a lot of times we feel like we don't have a lot of choice in our day to day because there's this laundry list of things to do. We have to show up for our team, our clients, our work. And so to have a day where you get to make choice on what you do and don't want to do all day
right,
is really, really freeing. And I know that sounds crazy because as entrepreneurs, we go into business because we want a more freeing lifestyle.
right.
And and this really, really does give it to that ultimate impact.
One of the things too that I've discovered is that a lot of people who do go into business,
Hmm.
some of them go into business because they need a job.
Yeah.
They got laid off, whatever, downsized, however you want to call it.
Yeah.
And yet they never really build their business. I mean,
Right.
if
They
you're a
build a
stylist,
job.
yeah, if you're a stylist and you build you're going to open a salon,
Hmm.
you're so busy working on heads that you're
Yeah.
not working on developing your business. You'd
Right.
probably be better off opening up a car repair shop because you can't touch a vehicle because you don't know how.
Hmm.
Hiring the people who do it and working on developing the business to be some. And I think that a lot of business owners lose track of that. They become so enmeshed in the day to day
Right.
that it's hard to step back
Yeah.
and let go of that. And the thing is, a lot of them say, well, nobody can do it like I can do, blah, blah, blah. I say, well, do you think General Electric got that big because the person who started General Electric couldn't find somebody else who could do part of the work?
Right.
You're never going to get. Now, I'm not saying everybody has to be that big,
Right.
but I
Exactly.
think part of the idea is if you own a business is to be able to work 20 hours a week
Yeah.
on the important stuff and let the rest of it roll. Then you've got, and I think what people will find is now they've got some time to think, right?
Yes.
They're
It's
relaxed a little bit, and all of a sudden they get this, hey, I got this great idea for another business, and off they
yes.
run because now they're energized again.
Right.
Meanwhile, this one's still humming along if they build it right.
Right. Yeah.
And I,
And I think that's how we get that title of serial entrepreneurs is
right,
when you
exactly.
have that space and you really realize how building a business is more than just building something yourself. But even for those solo business owners, like if it is something that you want to rely on you, if it is you showing up, still thinking about it in that aspect of, all right, don't build yourself a prison. You
Right.
have to build yourself the something that you really, really want. And looking at crunching the numbers, figuring out what you want your work week to
Mhm.
flow and look like, really tapping into when is the best time for you to show up and create your marketing? When is
Right.
the best time for you to show up and serve and
Mhm.
do client work? And there's some people like yourself who are really great at being morning people who jump up in the morning and
Right.
dive right into it. There's other people like me who love to slow roll their morning and take a few hours to like let the engine warm up. And so that's the beautiful part about being in business is we do get to set those times and those
Mhm.
standards. And again, it really comes back down into that deeper desire of who do you want to be? What do you want to do? And
Mhm.
what do you want to have? And when
Mhm.
you can really clearly articulate those in the early business phase and even check in with those throughout your business growth, because it's going to shift and change as you grow as a person, and really honing into building something that serves you by you showing up with your expertise, it's a really, really beautiful process. But
Sure.
taking the time to slow down and look at it that way is a different way than just hitting the ground running and starting to cut people's hairs.
Hmm. Yeah, it is. I recall a story once about a guy who I guess he'd been a truck driver or something,
Hmm.
and he got tired of doing that, so he decided that he was going to learn to be a stylist.
Okay.
So he went, to school
Yeah.
to be a stylist. And I guess one day the person who was running the school said, "Hey, let's go to lunch," which is kind of weird.
Hmm.
And the guy said, there's a lot of ways to make money in this business. He goes, and I don't think cutting hair is for you, but I think you could run a salon.
Right.
Okay, well, that guy built one salon into what we call supercuts. And
Oh, okay. I
yeah,
was
and so,
wondering who it
I
was.
mean, here was a guy who had the skill level and an interest, but he was not the one who was going to be behind the chair when you're getting your hair done,
Right.
right? So it's interesting how you can build something
Right.
like that if you take the time to do it.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
you have to have a love for it. I don't know that anybody can build a business they don't love.
Right,
Um,
exactly. And I think again, going down to like, what is your lifestyle values and how does this thing actually line up with them? And,
mhm,
if your lifestyle values of building community and have deeper connection with humans, all right, then maybe a business like that where you have people coming in and out of the door, where you have them captivated in a chair for
right,
20 to 30 to a few hours
right.
and you actually get to know them and you get to talk to them. So yeah, so I think it really, again, you have to reflect and know yourself in order to build that business in a way that's going to feel fulfillment and feel joyful.
Hmm.
And that's where that deep passion really, really lies. And I think it's the same thing too when if you're like, well, I want to build something, but I do want to be the center of it, then again, where are your strengths? Where are your weaknesses? Let's build a business around those. And
Hmm.
I always say in marketing, like there are, I don't know, 172 ways you can market your business.
Hmm.
You don't have to do all 172.
No, you
Really,
don't.
really good at one of them.
One of them, yes.
And then maybe once you're really good at one of them and it's working, is there a parallel that you can still utilize another channel, utilize another place, utilize
Hmm.
another way to show up? And it's when we can start eliminating the things that we're not good at, that don't light us up, that we don't love,
Hmm.
and double down on the things that we do love and that are in
Yeah,
alignment and that we can show up and do very easily. That's how you're building something
yeah,
that's going to be bigger than you because you can show up in it that way.
sure, exactly. Yeah, and I think that's it. Is you have to be authentic. You have to show up and focus on what you do well and what you don't do so well.
Yeah, let it
You
go.
find somebody who can. Um I used to work as a doing technical support for a very small software company that sold payroll and benefit management software.
Hmm.
And we sold it to a very vertical market. It was a very small vertical market. Every one of the customers that we had, I always spoke to the owner in the office when there
Hmm.
were issues. There was one guy in Arizona. When I would call, I would speak to the office manager.
Mm.
When I did talk to the owner, who was a great guy, by the way, he was a great personality. I asked him, I said, why is it that I always talk to your office manager and not you? He goes, because I can't manage an office. He says, but I can sell the hell out of anything. So
Mm.
he was out doing the sales,
Yep.
knowing that was his strength, and he hired somebody to manage his office and his business. So he focused instead of struggling to do something he wasn't comfortable with and didn't know how to do.
Right.
He focused on what he knew how to do.
Yeah.
And I think some of us, as when you're a business owner, you think you have to run everything, and maybe there's somebody better to run it while
Yeah.
you sit back and you know,
Do the thing. Right now,
do the
it's so
thing.
funny.
Yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I have a client who is a DoD contractor. He's an engineer turned entrepreneur, which I love working with them. They're so interesting, and I love dissecting the words that come out of their mouths. But he's been able to keep his business small in the number of employees because he's outsourcing and utilizing outside help for things like HR, for things like payroll, for things like
Mhm.
answering the phones and office management. And so the only people he keeps full time are the engineers who are building this really cool product that is used as a communications device.
Okay.
And, he was talking to me how he feels like sometimes that's at a disadvantage because he can't say that he has 5,000 employees
Right.
when other DoD contractors can say that. But it's because they have all these other people under overhead. So he's been able to keep his costs down really low and run a really, really efficient machine. And I was like, well, if you think about that, and you're utilizing that skill as part of your sales process and
Hmm.
why you're better than some of the others out there. Not only do you have a team of dedicated engineers, you have figured out how to run a business very lean. And man, dude, that word lean really, really works well when you're
Right.
selling communications devices in the
Oh,
DoD
sure.
space. Yeah. And so
Sure.
it's also figuring how do you position your strengths and uniquenesses as a business owner, how you structure your business, how you serve your clients, how do you position that as a positive for someone who wants it when they're buying from you? And
Sure.
that really gets me excited.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're right about that because now you know where your strength is.
Yeah.
You've got a good product and I run lean, which means it doesn't cost you as much money.
Hmm.
And he probably doesn't have a lot of, I would think with probably a professional group of engineers, he probably doesn't have a lot of HR issues. He probably doesn't get a lot of customer phone calls.
Right.
I don't know what he might do with technical support if he outsources that, or if he's one of his
Right.
or if his engineers do it,
Engineers
which
doing
is
it.
typical in a small shop.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody's customer service for the day,
Right. Exactly.
and
Exactly.
it may be technical enough that that's what you need.
Exactly. Right.
You don't need someone like me who can handhold you through something. You need somebody who can boil down to the technical aspects of the electronic components that frankly I don't know anything about. So you may
Yeah.
need that more than the others. So
Yeah. So
wow.
yes, I think it's interesting when you can really double down on your strengths in business, why
Mm,
you started your business, how you run your business, how you operate, and use that as a position of power, especially in your
sure.
messaging. And again, letting the weaknesses go or showcasing why, you're doing something the way that you're doing it. I think pulling back that curtain and going into the why of
Mhm,
how you made these decisions as a business owner and why you show up in the way you do is
mhm.
just as important as the product itself.
Yeah.
That's building that deeper relationship. That's letting someone see who they're purchasing from and what it means to be working with that
Mhm.
person.
Yeah. Yeah. I have made purchases from companies that I won't again because I can't
Yeah.
deal with the people.
Yeah.
And then there are other places. I mean, we all have favorite places, and why is that? Stop and think about why it is you like to go to that restaurant or that bar or that grocery store or wherever you go. Why is it? And it's more than just price
Right. Oh.
because people are willing to pay more
Mhm.
for something. I mean, people wonder why in the world are you willing to, I mean, my brother used to ask me, why do you spend, $3 on a cup of coffee at Starbucks?
Mhm.
And I would tell him because I can't get Sumatra at any place else. I mean, I love that coffee.
Yeah.
That's part of it, but it's also part of the every time I walk in that store,
They
I
know
get a
you.
good morning. How are you? They know me by name.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
so that's part of it too, is how do you feel dealing with your vendor,
Right.
you know? And
So
that's and I think you're right. Well, all of us need to, and I'm sure you do that with your clients. You have this good vendor customer relationship. I did in the past. That's what I focus on now is
yeah.
developing relationship. And people used to call it years ago, they called it relationship marketing. And I think that there's something to be said for that.
Yeah. I totally agree. A
Yeah.
hundred
Yeah.
percent. If we're not building relationships, then what the heck are we
Yeah.
building?
Yeah. And that's why I'm a little bit concerned about chatbots. Like, have we lost that? Do
Mm.
you recall, gosh, many, many years ago, I remember seeing this commercial for something where everybody was sort of like businesses that used to go out and deal with customers. They had like a sales team that would go out, things were on the phone. And one day, the owner of the business is sitting there and he's got all his salespeople in the office and he starts handing out plane tickets. And he goes, we need to get back out there and build our relationships.
Okay.
because it wasn't happening on the phone.
Right.
Customers were used to the face to face, and that's what they wanted, and that's what it took. And we can lose that.
Right.
And it's so hard to get back.
Yeah.
So
And
hard.
I think, when things like the phone came about, things like
Mhm.
email came about, things like social media came about, things like now, Chatty G and AI and everything.
Mhm.
I do think there are ways that we can utilize it, but it always seems like as humans, we tend to swing too far one way with it.
Right.
And then we realize where we need to pull back. And I think that's where we're at right now with AI
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
ChatGPT. Like, you can tell when you're seeing a post on social media or an email written in Chatty G. And I think as we use it for other things, and is it a great way to brainstorm, to kick something off sometimes when you're stuck? Heck yes. Is
Yeah.
it a great way? I'm dyslexic. Do you know how many misspellings I have in all of my things? A lot. It's something I've just accepted. But you know what? I'm running it through chat and it's helping me pick those out a little bit better.
Right.
So is it helping me become a little more polished and a little bit more professional? Sure.
Sure.
I think that we'll start to really realize where we can use it, and that yes, it can't replace that human to human
No.
interaction,
No.
and that the conversations, the clarity that happens when we're in conversations and in community together. And I think again, we're on our way back after swinging too far with the
Right.
pendulum of how we use it, and how to use it differently.
And again, like even with text messaging and that, you don't get the nuances of inflection and body language that we
Yeah,
as humans
need.
over the evolution of our species have learned to pick up on.
Yeah.
It's like you can tell by the way someone's standing, somebody you don't even know if they're having a good day by the way they're standing. I mean, you can't get that in a text message,
Right.
you know.
Yeah, no, I
No.
think it's very, very true. It's something that as a business owner, doubling down on that relationship building, that human to human interaction,
Mhm.
and really going deep with it.
Mhm.
And that's where I see people's businesses really taking off, transforming, and doing the good in the world that they want them to do.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Wow. Amy, this has been great. Um, this has been a wonderful conversation. I know that people can reach you through, and I had it written down here. Where did I put it? Through your website, right?
Mhm.
They can reach you through your, spit it out for me because I can't seem to find it in my notes here. I wrote it down, but I've
Don't
lost
worry,
it.
John, I got you. Yeah, so you can check me out at thejoyfulbusinessrevolution.com. Also, I am most active on Facebook. I'm Amy Hager on Facebook, Hager. If you do find me on LinkedIn, it's Amy Hager, CAEIOM. Not as active on there, but I think that, again, I picked the one platform that I'm really good at, that I love showing up on, and that I can create community on, and I'm following my own model when it comes
There
to
you go.
doubling
There you
down on
go.
my strengths. So
Yeah.
yeah, and we the first Wednesday of every single month we get together with people and co-create messaging. We call it marketing for the rest of us. And so if there's a messaging, a sales page or a website or an email that you're really struggling with, come check us out on the first Wednesday of the month and let's co-create that messaging together.
All righty. Well, thanks a lot, Amy. Appreciate it.
Thank
Good
you so
luck to
much.
you.
Yeah,
It's been wonderful having you on as a guest today.
awesome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. You're welcome. Bye bye.
Bye.